I must say that corruption in the education system, from basic level to tertiary level, has been undermining our investment in the sector.
Multi-dimensional approach to tackle corruption. Buhari sets targets through the educational front.
Oh, we're absolutely very hopeful. We had a good engagement. Very positive response.
Hope brightens for students as talks between Buhari and House of Reps leadership on ASUU strike end with smiles.
Many fallen heroes in the course of these sacrifices, and they remain evergreen in our minds.
Plus, wives care for husbands in the military and police. Trauma Treatment Center project takes off in Abuja. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Henry John and we're live in Abuja. Adiola Komiokere joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. And just to let you know that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. President Muhammadu Buhari has stated the federal government's commitment to building education systems that foster ethical and social responsible citizens that will actively contribute to the sustainable development goals. He, however, laments that this vision of education for sustainable development, backed by huge government investment, is continuously undermined by corruption and incessant strikes in the sector. The president stated this while declaring open the 4th National Summit on Domination Corruption. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Organized by the ICPC, JAM, and the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the 4th National Summit on Diminishing Corruption in the Public Sector focuses on corruption and the education sector.
Certainly, there is no better time to discuss the state of education in Nigeria and the role of corruption than now, when the education sector is paradoxically playing a major role as enabler of corruption in Nigeria.
This government has done its best. It has fought the corruption that has been caught. But the corruption that has not been caught is there, imperceptibly creating havoc beneath the surface. Systemic corruption must be fought if Nigeria is to be liberated.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who participated in each of the previous summits targeting different aspects of his administration's commitment to fighting corruption, described as worrisome the manifestation of various forms of corruption in the education sector.
Incessant strikes, especially by unions in the tertiary education, often imply that the government is grossly underfunding education. But I must say that corruption in the education system, from basic level to tertiary level, has been undermining our investment in the sector. And those who go on prolonged strikes on flimsy reasons are no less complicit.
While giving the ICPC the go-ahead to investigate and prosecute all forms of corruption in the academic institutions, including sexual harassment, the president said government will continue to fund education within realistically available revenue.
Corruption in the expenditure of internally generated revenue of tertiary institutions is a matter that has strangely not received the attention of stakeholders in tertiary education, including unions. I call on stakeholders to demand accountability in the administration of academic institutions. Let me also implore the unions to work with government to put faces and identities to names on the payroll.
Former INEC chairman, Professor Atairu Jega, said although a lot has been done since 2015 by the anti-graft agencies to tackle corruption in the Nigerian public sector, a lot more still needs to be done.
Efforts need to be redoubled lessons ought to have been learned, strategies need to be reviewed and re-strategized, and more sophisticated weapons in court need to be acquired and deployed to kill corruption.
Corruption has fought back in different ways. We have remained resolute on our mandate and our promise to Mr. President and the nation to do our best. We hereby renew that pledge.
And for refusing to be corrupted by rejecting a $200,000 bribe from a suspect under investigation, Daniel Ise Ama of the Nigeria Police backed the Public Service Integrity Award for 2022. President Buhari was also presented with an Anti-Corruption Icon Award by the ICPC in appreciation of his principle of non-interference, as well as sustained support to the agency in the discharge of his statutory mandate without let or hindrance. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The leadership of the House of Representatives has formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the outcome of its strategic engagement with critical stakeholders over the prolonged industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. Speaker Femi Gbajagbeamila, who spoke to journalists after the closed-door meeting with the president, described it as fruitful and reassuring.
As you know, what's on the front burner today, even beyond the politics, is our universities, our lecturers, and our children who are out of school. And the House of Representatives, after a series of engagements with ASUU and with people on the executive side, we've been able to come to some kind of decision on our part and recommendations to be made to the Mr. President for his approval, and that's why we're here.
So what are the takeaways after the meeting?
The Mr. President, as usual, had a very good listening ear, and he took the report of the House. He accepted it. We discussed it at length, the details of the report, and he wanted to go through them himself, and he will get back to us. We have another meeting on Thursday between our good selves and Mr. President for his final decision, and he wanted to digest the report in detail, and we won't know anything until Thursday or Friday.
So any hope?
Oh, we're absolutely very hopeful. We had a good engagement. Very positive response. He asked us a couple of questions in some gray areas, which we clarified, and he accepted the report, and he wanted a couple of days to go through it.
The Speaker of the House of Reps there. Meanwhile, the federal government has registered and presented approval letters to 2 more academic unions out of ASUU. Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, says the approval is born out of the desire of the 2 Nigerian associations of medical and dental academics, NAMDA, and Congress of University Academics, CONWA, for freedom of association under the international labour law. Joseph Otsen reports.
These 2 associations, the Nigerian Association of Medical and Dental Academics and the Congress of University Academics, are said to have applied, seeking the establishment as unions between 2017 and 2019, both citing irreconcilable differences, dislocation of academic activities due to recurrent ASUU strikes, welfare issues, and lack of accountability of ASUU leadership.
Medicine and dentistry are very sensitive professions which require a well-programmed, uninterrupted, and hands-on training. It requires time and sufficient exposure, which, when lost, is difficult to replace.
We are giving the assurance that we will work to ensure that this country, Nigeria, is not traumatized again by academic union dislocations.
The committee is set up to look into the grievances of the academic lecturers, recommended the approval of the 2 unions back in 2019, but the government had to hold back due to COVID-19.
Let it be noted that Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Trade Union Act T14, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004,
gives the Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment powers to regroup an existing trade union of workers or employers. They're not a legal union of workers with rights and privileges. And there is no discussion that will take place in any university academic environment for academic workers, of which there are members, that will not involve them.
Dr. Chris Ngige revealed that salaries of members of the two unions are being paid as they are not part of the ongoing ASUU strike. He urges vice chancellors of universities to open university gates for patriotic lecturers who want to teach. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
In other news, the federal government is according premium to security education and other options in dealing with emerging security threats in some part of the country. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the 32nd convocation ceremony of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. Suleiman Rigachiku reports that some eminent Nigerians were also conferred with honorary doctorate degrees for their outstanding contribution to the growth of the academy.
With multidisciplinary structure and specialization in training the cadets and students choosing academic disciplines that cut across undergraduate and postgraduate levels, Nigerian Defense Academy has continued to advance the frontiers of knowledge in defense and strategic studies, producing the required manpower for national defense and security. The second combined convocation saw the conferment of first degrees on 239 graduating cadets, postgraduate degrees on 1,654 students, including former Chief of the Army Staff, Major General Alwali Kazir, conferred with honorary degree of military science.
Beyond the current standing of the academy, we have begun to explore modern and evolving technologies and articulating academic strategic action plan to reposition this institution as a paramount military university in Africa.
Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo acknowledged the effort by the Nigerian Defense Academy as a pace-setter in scholarship and incubator of sound ideas. Describing the convocation as a celebration of superiority of excellence, he expressed confidence that the reviewed training curriculum of the institution has prepared the graduating cadets for the dynamics of modern warfare and strategic response to emerging security threats. Those honored pledged to do more for the academy and the nation. The convocation is a culmination of activities prelude to the presidential commissioning of the 69 regular tri-service cadets of the Nigerian Defense Academy. Suleiman Rigachikun, NTA News.
In agriculture, the drive of the federal government towards ensuring food sufficiency and creating millions of jobs is receiving a boost as Pand Agric Novum Limited, in partnership with NSIA and Signature Agri Investment, has inaugurated a multi-billion agri-business company in Panda, Karu local government area, Nasarawa State. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while inaugurating the project, said much was achieved in the agricultural sector of the economy in line with the vision of the Buhari-led administration. Christy Ayagwa reports.
By the commitment to key into the federal government's vision of ensuring food security and sufficiency, the Pandagri Novon Limited has so far invested massively in the agricultural value chain through a sustainable production of quality feed known as the Supreme Feeds. With this state-of-the-art facility, the company that has size of 12,000 hectares of land engages 500 local farmers who are mostly youths, which will consequently produce 12,000 metric tons of animal feeds monthly.
A company born to fulfill the vision to be a catalyst for change in agriculture and the #1 choice producer of feeds and foods in Nigeria.
Together with our shareholder, Abuja Investment Group, we are proud and honored to have such a strong partnership with NTA.
And the dedication shown by our partners, particularly our partners from Holland, is something really amazing.
Vice President commended the efforts of the Pandagric Novon Company and its investment partners for keying into the President Muhammadu Buhari's agricultural vision.
Successfully completed the development of this farm, the considering the immense economic impact, essentially it is among the top two key pillars of the industrial revolution that we have embarked upon.
And this is the kind of project that we should continue to invest in and replicate in several parts of the country so that more of the communities that we've seen today here are engaged in productive farming.
The supreme feeds and other value chain commodities produced by Pandagric Novom Limited, the market capitalization will grow higher and bridge the demand gap in animal feeds in the country. Christy Ayagwa, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. Time for a break. Please stay. Thank you for staying. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Aminu Umar Sadiq as the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. Also appointed are Kolawole Owoduni and Mrs. Bisi Makoju as Executive Directors. The appointees are also respected to help steer and transform the investment and infrastructure industry. Now heading to the National Assembly. President Muhammadu Buhari is to present the 2023 Appropriation Bill to the joint session of the National Assembly on Friday, the 7th of October, 2022. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the presidential letter was read on the floor of both chambers at Tuesday's plenary.
Letter from Mr. President.
Tuesday's plenary took off with President of the Senate Ahmad Lawan reading the letter from President Muhammadu Buhari notifying them of the scheduled presentation of the 2023 budget to the joint session of the National Assembly on Friday this week.
May I crave the kind indulgence of the distinguished Senate to grant me the slot of 10 hours on Friday, that's 10 a.m. on Friday, 7th October 2022, to formally present the 2023 Appropriation Bill to the joint session of the National Assembly.
The House of Representatives also received the notification.
Friday was the only available day, otherwise it would have to be the following week, which takes us into the 14th, 15th, 16th, and that cuts into our time into looking at and scrutinizing the budget. So we suggested, it was actually the National Assembly that suggested Friday the 7th of October.
The only motion on the order paper came from Senator Bio Barakuma Degere, which drew the attention of the Senate to the urgent need to reclaim and protect shorelines at Anyama, Tuwon Brass, Odiama, and Sangana communities in Bayelsa East senatorial districts devastated by coastal erosion.
Urge NEMA to provide some relief materials to Anyama, Odiama, Tuwon Brass, and Sangana communities.
Senators acknowledged the nomination of some of its members for national award, describing it as a recognition of the achievements of the Ninth Senate by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The momentum with which we have been doing our work will not be slowed down. We will continue up to the end.
Senate resolved that the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited pay a sum of 18.3 billion naira to 34 communities and individuals in Rivers State yet to be compensated for acquiring their lands to pipelines right of way. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, in the Green Chamber, a resolution to conduct an investigation into the incessant collapse of Nigeria's electricity grid has been passed. National Assembly correspondent Lamiala reports that the issue was raised as a matter of urgent public importance by Representative Sani Bala during plenary.
The state of power generation and distribution, according to the lawmakers, has been a poor narrative since the privatization of the sector in 2013. Representative Sani Bala said the national grid experienced more than 100 collapses since then. In 2022, the national grid collapsed 7 times. This development, whereby all key power generating plants experience a shutdown at once, they say, calls for concern.
The issue of system collapse may not be unconnected with the transmission companies of Nigeria's lack of wheeling capacity, inadequate transmission lines and spinning reserves, as well as refusal to fast-track construction of digital control centers instead of the company's current analog system.
The essence of this investigation should go to finding what we can do as a country to cure the issues of power generation, transmission and distribution.
The House Committee on Power is to conduct the investigation. 2 other motions urging the rehabilitation and reconstruction of damaged roads in parts of Kogi and Delta State were adopted. Bill to establish a Federal Medical Center, Uromi, Edo State, sponsored by Sergio Ugu. Bill to amend National Emergency Management Agency Act from Henry Wauba, and bill to enact the Notaries Public from Ugonna Uzuribu passed second reading.
To provide for the appointment of notaries public, their registration, and to regulate the duty of the office of the notary public, and to make provisions for the performance of the digital and remote notarization of documents.
Meanwhile, management staff of the Institute of Social Work in Nigeria were asked the National Assembly to express appreciation over the passage and signing into law of the Act, thus giving legal backing to the Institute, which has been in existence for more than 10 years. The Act will further streamline operations of social workers. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly now, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has reaffirmed her determination to continue to support all initiatives of the spouses of the Nigerian Armed Forces Associations towards bringing succor to their members. The First Lady gave the assurance during the groundbreaking ceremony of the Armed Forces Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Center, a project initiated by the President of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, the POA, and the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Victoria Irabo. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports.
With addressing a mental health condition, the post-traumatic stress disorder PTSD triggered by terrifying and frightening activities experienced by the frontline officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has commended the President of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DPOA, and the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Victoria Irabo, for her initiatives of establishing the PTSD Center in Abuja. Performing the groundbreaking ceremony, the First Lady expressed optimism that the center will go a long way towards improving the general well-being of the military families, taking into cognizance the challenges associated with the PTSD on military and the nation as a whole. Mrs. Buhari used the opportunity to express gratitude to the members of the armed forces for their selfless service to the nation.
Many fallen heroes in the course of these sacrifices, and they remain evergreen in our minds. Many others are either wounded physically or mentally. I want to appreciate them, their wives, their families, and all of them in this cycle of despair, and we want to let them know that the whole nation is with them. I thank the POA once again for this initiative and the military establishment for supporting them. I call on them to ensure that this center provides quality and sustained care to soldiers that suffered from PTSD. Mrs. Irabo, it's no longer your project. It's my project and the project of Mr. President.
The First Lady assured the President of the POA of our full support towards the actualization of this dream, emphasizing the need for the government at all levels and other relevant stakeholders to support the project for the overall development of Nigeria. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
In other news, Nigerian and Saudi governments have reaffirmed their resolve to strengthen trade and investments in accelerating reforms and sustaining the economic fortunes of the two countries. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Zubairu Dada, gave this assurance at the second session of the Nigeria-Saudi Joint Committee meeting in Abuja. Garba Muhammad Nata'ala reports.
In solidarity by the Saudi government in joining Nigeria to celebrate her 62nd Independence Day, which coincided with the second session of the Joint Committee meeting, the mutual cooperation between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia has stood the test of time dating back to history. To this end, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Zubairu Dada emphasized on the mutual interest of both parties, that states working closely in sustaining priority sectors of Nigeria and the Saudi Kingdom for a prosperous future.
Call on our senior officials and experts of both countries to kindly note that as they proceed with the important task of negotiation of the various MOUs and agreements, they should adopt a spirit of cooperation and flexibility with a view to concluding and signing these long-delayed agreements and MOUs.
Saudi Arabian Deputy Minister of Environment, Water and Agriculture for Fisheries, Ahmed Al-Kamishi, says many opportunities abound for cooperation, including trade, investment, technology, arts and culture.
Therefore, for this reason, we give priority to the leading participation of the private sector in both countries.
At the end of the two-day meeting, delegates are expected to fashion out modalities to further implement strategies emanating from the drawn-up agreements. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Natala, NTA News.
We'll pause here in Abuja and let Adiola feed us with more news from Lagos. Adiola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Nyere. Now, exposing students to the rudiment of computer and coding from elementary school to higher institution is an avenue experts have devised to improve technological advancement in today's changing world. In this report, John Adams tells us the gains of impacting computer knowledge on the younger generation.
It is a technology-driven world, from workspaces to schools. As well as every aspect of human endeavor, technology has taken the lead. Even children are feeling the impact through computer games and many others. As technology evolves, introducing children to its dynamism through coding is important.
One thing that coding will do to a kid is that it's going to teach them how to think. Right, they're able to think rationally. Putting coding into school as a liberal arts means that you're going to build every child's ability to be a part of solving the hardest problems in both Nigeria and Africa at large.
Experts believe that computer programming is the future, and going by the saying, children are the future, the clamor for catching them young, they say, is timely, as the positives are numerous to mention.
It's the language of the future. So it's important that children should learn it.
We really need them to grow, to know how to develop these apps, to know how to develop this technology. They play with games, We need them to come up from the stage of, for them playing those games. We want them to be developers of these games.
Giving every child, irrespective of social class and geographical location, the opportunity to explore coding and computer science, key players say will bring out hidden talents in the country. In Lagos, John Adams, NTA News.
Now let's talk about safe water transportation. Navigating the inland waterways most times is a Herculean task for boat operators owing to setbacks suffered as a result of uncleared wrecks. Recent efforts by regulators in the industry are however geared towards ridding the sector of these wrecks to reduce boat mishaps. Abolade Salami reports.
This is the daily means of transportation for some people in Lagos. They set out every day with the hope of having a fruitful day and return home after the day's work to rest. But not everyone makes it, after all, owing to accidents on water. A sizable number of these accidents has been linked to wrecks. This has posed great threats to maritime activities across the country's waterways.
Wrecks have been causing so much damage our engines, the boats as well. So somehow it has been affecting our jobs because there are some wrecks at these our places as well.
The statistics of how much wrecks are located in Nigerian waters is not exactly known because as they are removed, new ones are discovered.
But it is much easier for us to navigate now. Very rare, not like before that there are restricted area that we can navigate through. But now since the wreck has been removed, it has helped us a lot and very much.
In the meantime, National Inland Waterways Authority NIWA says efforts are on to ensure safety as wrecks are being located and removal is imminent.
From our statistics, we have seen that human error and wrecks are mostly the major reasons why our boats capsize. So that's why when we have tackled the human error by introducing training for our captains, we feel it is necessary for the authority to also remove all these wrecks that is causing menace.
Aside the security threats and navigational challenges, there are staggering realities of loss of lives and revenue due to boat mishaps caused by wrecks. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos. Be reminded that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.nj/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screens for updates. The news will continue after this time out. To stay with us.
Welcome back. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has progressed to a new performance level with a declaration of 674 billion naira profit after tax in its 2021 financial report. Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari says NNPC Limited is poised to become a dynamic global energy company of choice to her customers and partners. Lydia Sampson reports.
In line with the resolve to sustainably entrench transparency, accountability and performance excellence, the NNPC Limited in 2019 rolled out deliberate policies and initiatives reducing operational costs in addition to adoption of technology. Following these efforts, the Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari says the company has recorded significant improvement in their financial performance in the last 3 years.
I'm happy to announce that the Board of the NNPC Limited has approved the 2021 audited financial statements, and the NNPC has progressed to a new performance level from 287 billion naira profit in 2020 to a 674 billion naira profit after tax in the year 2021, climbing higher by 134.8% profit growth.
The breakdown revealed that the group financial position recorded an increase in total assets from 15.86 trillion naira in 2020 to 16.27 trillion in 2021. Total liabilities decreased by 8.3%, that is from 14.68 trillion in 2020 to 13.46 trillion in 2021. Despite challenging operating environment occasioned by crude oil theft and vandalism of infrastructure, the optimism is high that NNPC Limited has the potential to sustainably deliver better value to its over 200 million shareholders. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has restated its commitment to the continuous engagement of key players in drafting regulations for the sustainable development of the downstream and the midstream. The Commission's second engagement is to deliberate on midstream and downstream safety regulation and petroleum measurement regulations. The Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, NMDPRA, Ogugbo Okoha, who represented the Chief Executive, says the authority is committed to proactively repositioning the downstream and midstream through people-oriented engagements.
We would like the feedbacks to add value to the draft and to make it richer. It's the authority's objective that we must be guided by the collaboration that we have with the operators in the markets. So we actually consider as very important the feedbacks we'll receive from operators within the industry.
Having input through engagement of stakeholders is a cardinal stipulation and requirement of PRA for the authority as a regulator. Now, Nigeria is playing host to the Africa Regional Committee of the International Association of Deposit Insurers, AID, with a focus on ensuring financial stability on the continent. Leah Katung-Baba today reports that the AID Africa Regional Committee workshop is a meeting point for knowledge sharing and collective approach between participants to solving financial concerns on the continent.
Economies globally are stressed and are still recovering from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the spillover effect of the Russia-Ukraine war. For policymakers, the fabric of the global financial stability is constantly being threatened by this crisis, making the last 3 years quite turbulent.
In times of crisis like the ones that we have been facing, it is important that the financial services of our countries remain healthy, and the regulators have a responsibility to protect depositors' funds.
So in the next 2-3 days, deposit insurers are going to brainstorm on how they can effectively contribute towards ensuring the stability of the financial system across the globe.
It is the 20th anniversary of the International Association of Deposit Insurers, IADI, and gathered here are participants of the Africa Regional Committee.
We need to keep working through forums like the IADI and other collaborating agencies to share experiences, strengthen our supervisory tools, monitor the effectiveness of insured institutions' contingency planning and crisis management framework.
This edition is tagged Normality in Turbulent Periods, the stabilizing role of deposit insurance.
The CBN and the NIC represent key components of the Nigerian financial safety net arrangement. That partly explains the reason we have been able to successfully resolve the series of financial crises that confronted our country with indeed satisfying results.
The mission of IADI is to contribute to the enhancement of deposit insurance effectiveness by promoting guidance and international cooperation.
Financial stability is so key to every economy's success that we cannot take this for granted, and we all have to work together assiduously to ensure that we play our part in providing security in our various countries.
In Abuja, Leah Katung-Baba today, NTA News.
Another news, Nigeria has joined the Global Best Practice Association of Autotronics and Sensory System in diagnosis and maintenance of automobiles with the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, working to expand the scope of application. Awal Salisu reports on the training and empowerment of 100 automobile mechanics in Kano on the new trend in automobile maintenance.
Ingenuity and creativity prowess of Nigerians are great development assets manifested by their capacity to observe, operationalize structure and build up automobiles, especially through backward integration technique. These innovative capacities have over the years provided employment to many. Ilyas Usabitu Adam is one of the 100 people selected from those who are earning living as motor mechanics but in need of this advanced training to qualify for repairing modern vehicles and enhance efficiency.
The work that can take you 2 hours, you can simply make it for a long of 30 minutes by using this computer that they are given after finishing this program.
They were equipped with advanced troubleshooting tools and complete occupational resources required to repair any automobile that employs sensory and autotronic applications.
Already practicing mechanics, but require technical know-how to be able to attend to the modern vehicles and vehicles even of tomorrow.
The training is to inculcate or to give knowledge to our teaming youths
the participants from Kano State to acquire knowledge on how to diagnose using computer systems.
They can be self-reliant, they can serve themselves, they can serve the state and the nation at large.
Elias and other trainees are expected to equally train others in their respective places. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service says it is taking seriously the business of revenue generation, and to this end, the service has gone public with a service charter that promises effective service delivery to its customers, the taxpayer. This was part of activities marking the Global Customer Service Week in Abuja. Benny Adams has the details.
Every customer has needs to be met, and the service provider is expected to deliver value for money while treating the customer as the king that he or she is. Hence the establishment of a charter. The charter is a document that communicates and expresses commitment for quality service delivery, and the champion of customer service, Mohammed Nami, says whatever the FIRS customer enjoys today, it is just the beginning, as the FIRS is committed to implementing its details for better service delivery. He appeals to Nigerians to continue to fulfill their obligations by paying their taxes.
Globally, citizens pay for their own civilization. As most infrastructures, privileges in advanced countries were made possible by the revenue generated through the taxes citizens in those globally developed countries pay to the government. Above all, we appeal to government at all levels to also give taxpayers value for the money they pay as taxes.
For the country's #1 customer care officer, the FIRS is doing well, but the taxpayer has the obligation to make the FIRS do better.
Right from your office to all other executive management staff, you're committed to ensuring that you make Nigerians get value for money.
The FIRS hopes to meet and surpass a target of 10.4 trillion naira as collectible revenue at the end of the year. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
I have Benny Adams live with me in the studio here to give us more business news. Benny.
Thank you, Yeri, and welcome to business. We start by telling you that Nigeria's Bank of Industry tells investors in New York to come to Nigeria and invest, saying amid more than 20% inflation rate, the bank is able to grant loans at about 8 to 10% interest rate with a tenor spanning 8 to 10 years.
Because one, be able to get interest rate that is below inflation, technically it's a subsidy. Secondly, you don't have rates being changed every year. So if you're paying so much for power, but finance is subsidized, it helps your business. We as a bank, we have gone out in the last 4 years raising more money to help Nigerian enterprises. In the last 4 years, Bank of Industry has raised about $5 billion. And we're still raising money.
And taking a look at the markets, at the end of trading today, a total of 173.4 million shares in 4,926 deals, corresponding to a market value of 2.3 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, Friday, data shows 51% decline in volume, 36% in turnover, with 49% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 26.4 trillion naira. Guarantee Trust Holding recorded the highest volume of 71.2 million traded shares, followed by Zenith Bank 14.4 million and United Bank for Africa 10.7 million. Well, that is a business news. Network news continues after this break.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Sunusi Musa, a youth activist who just got elevated to the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, saying that his accomplishment will inspire the nation's youth. In a statement, President Buhari says Sunusi who led hundreds of young men and women under the aegis of Nigeria Consolidation Ambassadors Network to raise 50 million naira to procure the nomination form for President Muhammadu Buhari's run for office on the platform of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in 1999 is among the recent batch of SANs approved by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee. He described the conferment of this SAN on Sunusi as a big honor and a matter of pride for him and the nation's youths, who look at emerging leaders with hope. Let's have a bit of sports now. And with sports done, we're done with the network news tonight. Many thanks for watching, and here's a quick reminder that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. Be a star and join the fight. I'm Ian Ray John. Have a good night.